Well, hello. Welcome to the Holy Shift Creative Lounge. It's Holy Shift Wednesday, everybody. And I appreciate your patience. I am running a few minutes behind today. And, you know, it's real in the field when you're a woman. And it's the moon cycle time. TMI, but it just happens, guys. No matter. There's actually a great reason why I bring that up, actually. And that is because I was really today years old when I realized like what Buddhism, what Buddhism is saying when they are offering and telling you that your way to peace and joy, to really have peace on earth and in this life experience, it's like you've got to figure out how to not get how to not get so excited when exciting things are happening, that you're supposed to let it go through you. And just the same when somewhat what would some would consider challenging times are going on in your life, you let that roll through you too. So there really is an equilibrium and a balance. And I think it's so important that that's a big piece of what we miss sometimes. And a big piece of what we miss about just this life experience. You know what I'm saying? I think that we can be so focused on the extraordinary situations and experiences that we, and seeking those out, because when they happen, they feel so exhilarating, and the emotions that you experience in those moments when things are freaking rad and awesome are just they can really make you feel alive again. I mean, that would be how people would describe that, as I feel alive again. That's that rush that the addict, the rush of addiction tends to offer to so many people, especially so many of us today in this world that we're living in, particularly in Western civilization, at least in America as I know it. We're always looking for a rush. We're always looking to feel, those moments of extreme sensation. I mean, let's not even to dance around that. So, it's funny because this is not at all what I had planned to talk about, but in life you get to go with the flow a little bit. But before I even get into this, allow me to introduce myself or reintroduce myself to some of you. I am Michelle M. Trey Hollis with Vision for Music and Vision for the Soul, where we be in harmony and of sound mind, body, and spirit. It's important. The Holy Shift Creative Lounge is brought to you. I usually have my beautiful co-host Alexa Henderson with me. She had some other obligations that she had to tend to, and so I, still wanted to come on in excellence. And here's what's the deal with that. Is that I kind of feel lightweight like shit because I've got cramps. It's hurting. And I've been feeling meh all day. I started a new job. And I'm like, why it's my second week of work do I have to, go through this? Like, it kind of sucks. Thankfully, thanking God that, my body is still functioning. So that's how I get to reframe that. And really, speaking of reframing, that is a lot about what life is about, y'all. A lot of life is about reframing our experiences in a way which is supportive, is honest, though, is that in a way that we can look at things, even from our past, things that are happening right now, and even things that we are looking forward to or, unsure, unclear about. When we are intentional about what we are here to do and who we are and what we're offering to the world, it makes it a whole lot easier to be able to decide which lens you're going to put on the camera, and how you're going to take that scene, what perspective you're going to shoot, recall that scene or project that scene or experience that scene in the now. And I think it's very, very, I know it's very important. But the reason I brought up the Buddha thing is that, a part of me was just gonna even cancel it for a second. I was like, well, Lex is not gonna be here today, and I'm not feeling well, and I'd rather feel good, and get on here. You know what I mean? And I said no. I decided, you know what? I'm just going to be honest. Because it's important. Because I have decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows, and that includes my own. And so that's number one. Number two, I decided that my life experience matters, and it's helping me. It's helping me to understand that my life experience matters enough for me to, I first of all, I made these little commercials, and really I've had one heavenly experience, and one hell of one too. Let me just be honest. Over the past few years, for real, it has truly been, I've truly had several experiences that have been very much, very, very depressing, painful, disappointing, dark, hopeless, everything that has just been frustration after why isn't my drum and bass record coming out yet? Like, it just seems like a lot of times in life we get so close to having the things. I was not expecting to get this emotional, but this is the holy shift. It's a holy shift, and I didn't realize that was upsetting me that much until I just started talking about it. Because it's something that I want to do. It's something that I desire to do, and I love music, and I love the producers I'm working with, and they love me too, and they're the best in the business. They are some of the top producers in the business, and I've written the songs, I've recorded the songs, and it's like, and with two different people, and it's like, they love the song. They all love the songs. They love me. They love the music. It's been over a year and the shit's still not coming out. And I'm like, what is the problem? And I'm sharing, I really had no idea that this is not what I intended to do. I didn't know I was going to get so emotional about it, but it's important because that's something that's near and dear to my heart. And I love music. But I know that, like, you know, I know it's nothing personal, but it's just, you know, I turned 40 this year and I'm just like, what? Why do I keep getting so close and not fucking breaking through with something I really love, you know? I guess I needed to see. I didn't even know that this was upsetting me that much until I started talking about it. Until I started talking about it on here. This is funny. I use this. But I needed it to come up because I get to heal that. You know, I get to allow whatever that needed to come up. It was important that it did. I didn't realize how much that's been bothering me. I don't think, you know, because I know it's not for lack of I know it's not for lack of talent, you know. I know it's not because these friends that I have that I work with are, you know, I know that we have a great relationship, you know. We don't so it's nothing about that, but what the fuck is it? You know, I mean, it's like, why do I get so close and everything takes so long? Like this, you know, in my mind, it should have been put out last year. I recorded it last year, you know what I mean? Like one of them, and then one of them I recorded a few months ago, so whatever. But you know, and I'm sharing this with you because it is a holy shift. And I know that there's still a lot of there's a lot of shifting I get to do. The Holy Shift Creative Lounge was designed to specifically for artists of all sorts, thought leaders, creators, to come and share and have conversations that are meaningful. And on top of that, even more specifically, dealing with the subject of addiction, and specifically alcohol, drug addiction, but any addiction. And we all have them. You know, I was listening to a guy his name's Near. Let me find out his last name because it's important enough for me to share that with you all. So his name is, because Mind Valley had a course, Near Ayal, and he wrote a book, I guess, How to Be Indistractable. Indistractable. Never heard that word before at that moment when Vishen Likiani in all his beautiful glory. Hi, Vishen. One day we're going to meet. Yes, we are. And Vishen comes on and goes, he brings this guy on. This guy was talking about distractions and why we all get so distracted. And it's a procrastination thing, and then he said, what is the opposite of distraction, of distraction? And I, you know, of course I'm thinking focus, you know, being laser, that's the big word of the day. But it's actually not exactly those things. And the way he broke it down was so beautiful. I'm going to share that with you, but I also absolutely, I mean, this is just scratching the surface again. When it comes to breaking through anything, any of our addictions or limiting beliefs or codependencies that are toxic, this is hopefully going to be a very powerful thing for you to hear. And what that is that the opposite of distraction is traction. You know, Michelle, what's the big deal? What's the difference? Because it makes a difference. There's a difference between focusing in a direction, which is basically looking in a direction. And this is my synopsis. this is my interpretation of his material. So this isn't coming from him directly, but the distraction, the opposite of distraction is traction. And why it's such a big, why that matters, because words are important. And why it matters is because traction, I'm going to pull up the exact definition because he actually, I don't know where it is right now. Let's see. Okay, so traction, the action of drawing or pulling something over a surface, especially a road or track. The grip of a tire on a road or a wheel on a rail. Okay, some may say that's semantics, but traction is different than focus. Traction is your grip. So that means that distraction is you're losing if you not holding on tight. And it's not, and I think I'm saying, am I saying that the way I want to say? Yeah. Distraction is, okay, so basically it's the action. Focus isn't an action. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's something you do. Traction means you're moving in a direction that you know you're going in. Traction is moving in a direction that you know you're going in, which lends itself to mean that distraction is when you are not anything that takes you off of that direction. And that to me was a very powerful insight. And I know it seems like a small difference, but I don't think it is. And so it's not so much about the destination. It's about the journey. And so I think, when we are talking about heading in a direction, and I think that's a big distinguishing factor when it comes to like the law of attraction, and understanding. And that's why I love Joe Dispenza so much, because he says that it's in our best interest to detach ourselves from our past, to in essence erase the GPS history. I think is a great way to say that. And I just thought of that and I like that. I like that even more. Because it's like, it's one thing to think of yourself stuck in a rut, but it's a whole nother thing to recognize when you are getting into a car and continuing to type in the directions in a direction that is not taking you in the right place. That is so much more intentional. That reminds you, and that's what I think that is what that Indistractable offering really offers. So if I were you, I would Google Indistractable Mind Valley, and I'm sure you'll be able to find that masterclass, hopefully, but definitely his course. I know he's offering a course, so I'm sure you probably can find the mastermind. You probably put it in YouTube or Instagram, and maybe even get like the free masterclass or discount from going through there. You know how that works sometimes. So that might be a good idea. But I like this concept. I'm going to work with it a lot more because intentionality is important. Intentionality is important. And where you're trying to go. Because, so when it comes to addiction, it has to be, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle for me, because it is a way of life that I have subscribed to for so long. And I've always, how I've been blessed in my journey, my particular journey over the course of 20 something years, is that I've always diversified my focus and found ways to be inspired and intrigued outside of drugs and alcohol, outside of people that do drugs and alcohol, that I've had valleys, I've had mountains and valleys, you know? So that was fortunate for me, where maybe somebody else who just lived that lifestyle straight through, it might be a little more difficult. And they're, you know, to detach from those things and to decide to go in a different direction, because you have no idea what the other side of life can look like. And that's hard, man. That's hard. Like, don't judge people, you know, that are, I hate the word junkies. What a horrible word. People that are addicted to drugs, man, they don't know what life is like on the other side. And then you've got like that, oh man, there's just that actor, a Black man just died. Let me see his name, because this is an important conversation, and this actually is deeper and goes way more further down the layers than my original conversation about my purpose. Okay, and lately, Michael K. Williams, found dead in his New York City apartment. An actor on a major I mean, his name's Michael. Actor dead at 54. So no, it's not. If you're 25, you don't get to get yourself, you know, it's not so, sometimes it's not so easy to shift out of that just because you're 30 now, or just because you're 40 now, like I am, or just because you're 54 and a successful actor like Michael K. Williams. Or if you are the king of fucking pop, worldwide, internationally, nationally known, has brought the world together, basically made the 80s. We were the world because of, like, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. You still can die of the most outrageous way of a drug habit of sorts that could possibly happen, because Michael Jackson couldn't do anything normal. He had to be extra about everything. I mean, for real though. Why did he have to be extra about everything? Because, you know, when we live lives of a burning desire for good and to see good in the world, and when we see complete contrast, when we didn't get to have a childhood, or we didn't get to have a loving one, or we had one where we were rewarded for what we did and not who we were, and you're magical thinking, imaginative, love child full of love, and you don't get to express that, it's a whole, the work will never stop for us. The work will never stop for us. The work will never stop for us. There will not be a magical day when we are famous, when we have all the trappings of success, everything that everyone else in the world, we can have a whole fucking amusement park to try to deal with our childhood, and the work will never stop. We're going to always have to be present in the energy. We're always going to have a choice to make. It's never going to be just smooth sailing now. Maybe yeah, I'm going to say Jesus is the truth, the light, and the way. I believe that. I also study Buddhism, and totally understand it's all true. You know, the offerings of Buddhism's true. The offering of Jesus in the Holy Bible, true. The offerings of the Egyptian Kabbalion, true. The understanding that science and research is science, modern science and quantum physics is basically just letting us know that our ancestors and the people of color and indigenous people knew what the fuck they were already talking about and didn't have to explain it to anyone. They just understood who they were and tried to keep that, and cared about you and I enough to document it and fucking scrape that shit into the wood and chisel that shit into the stone so that we knew and that we never forgot the truth about what life is about. And thank God, thank God that somebody gave a fuck about who was coming up next. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to, this is way out of character for the Holy Shift, but it's just time to be honest, man. It's time to be honest with myself. I'm going to go ahead myself. And it's time for you to be honest with yourself. The work's never going to stop as long as we are living to please a fucking fake world. I'm really going to stop. That's the last time I'm cussing. I'm not cussing anymore because I want to have an intelligible conversation. Okay, so I've made my point that I'm passionate and everything, but I get to still, I get to present this information in a very level manner because it is important enough for it to not be about me, but it to be everything about me. Because really, at the end of my life, and the way I live, and what I live for, and what I stand for, ultimately matters for me. My life experience is for me. And for me alone. Some, would hear that and say that, well, that's awful selfish. And I'm like, what do you think you're here for? What are you here for? What are you here for to do? Are you here to work for some people that don't give a wiggy what about you and for you and for them to work for you? Wait, I lost my train of thought. Are you here to work for some people that don't care about you? Just for you to be miserable? Is that what we are here to do? Were you born so that you can produce products that kill people? Everyone wants to talk about the jab. I'll say that because I'm on YouTube. Everyone wants to talk about that. What about where you're working? What about the food we eat that's not food? You know what I'm saying? What about that? What about alcohol? That kills more people than probably anything else combined. Cigarettes too. I understand that argument that people are making, like, why is it that there's all these deaths and no one's saying anything about that? But now you have this. Well, here's the problem with that argument. Don't make it as a defense, or don't make it as like, that's not why we should be talking about that. Are you wondering how you can help those people that are dying from cigarettes? Or are you just using that as a data point? Because if that's all you're using it for, you're no better, bro or sis. So let's not get into just talking just to be right, or just being suspicious for suspicion's sake. Because you actually are doing the same thing that the other side is doing, apparently. Why are you only talking about this in relation to this issue? Why aren't you talking about it because you actually care either? So it goes, the not so merry-go-round goes round and round and round. So when is it going to matter for the sake of mattering for the issue? Don't perpetuate the same thing that you're upset about. You know what I'm saying? Not a good plan. Gets us nowhere, okay? It doesn't. So, you know, this issue about drug addiction and drug abuse is incredibly important. And it takes us all back to the issue at hand, which is, what is life for? What are you living for? And I had to ask myself that question. And I have to ask myself that question. And that's why I started this conversation with how I understand what Buddha said. Now more than ever, I understand what Buddha said when he said, the peace in life is letting it all move through you. That's the vibrational universe, the law of attraction, science. Nothing is still, everything's in motion. Nothing is solid, everything is moving. It's just how fast or how slow. If you have an energetic block, if you are blocked, if you are having blockages energetically in your energy centers, your chakra systems, then it's going to affect your health, because we are built to move. We are created in motion, sound, vibration. So when we're eating food, processed foods that is not life force, does not have the same moving force as we do, yeah, is it gonna stop? Is it going to stop the shining? Yeah, probably, because it's not made of the sun. It's not made of the sun. It's not natural. I mean, one of my friends had a great point. They had a great question today, and it did make me go, things that make you go, He said, well, if it's not, how is it not natural? Isn't anything on the earth natural? I mean, what do? Are they bringing stuff in from other planets? And I was like, that's a good one. But, and maybe we were even talking about drugs, and like people saying that natural, the natural drugs like weed and stuff. And he's like, well, everything's natural, really. I mean, what is not on, and, well played, touche, but is being right, is making a good point, being right, always worth it. Is it worth it to make it make sense in your head? And even if you find a way to present it, I mean, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it, because the man was acquitted. Anyways, it's not my place to judge. And that's important. Okay. The reason I'm speaking that out, I'm talking about OJ, just to be sure, just so you know, because I am talking also about MJ. But it's not judgment, judging ourselves, judging others, blockage. Because it's not natural. It's not natural. What's natural is for things to be. Things to be what us to be. What's natural is for us to be. That's why Buddha says, I'm saying it in Mtreism, let it all move through you. Let it all move through you, man. Like, for you to hold yourself in a memory of fear, of hurt, of pain, for something that happens, stops your life force from moving through you. It doesn't matter what's happened. And this is a biological planet. It's the jungle. This is a ball. It's a ball of jungle. That's what this earth is, bro. Let's never forget that. Let's never forget that. And why I say that is not to just let everything run amok, but we also are responsible for the life experience. The best thing we can do for ourselves, our community, and everyone else is to love, to be compassionate, to speak to the heart of everyone that we come across. Here's the difference. We get to speak to the heart of ourselves too. And it's a constant work that never stops. It never stops. Didn't stop for Michael K. Williams. Didn't stop for Michael Jackson. Didn't stop for Whitney Houston. Didn't stop for Amy Winehouse. I mean, those are just the obvious, but didn't stop for Prince. Didn't stop for Tom. I mean, it's a constant. It's a constant. And so this being the Holy Shift Creative Lounge, and we could talk about stuff all day on here. Do you think, Michael Jackson, he kicked it with Deepak Shah. I mean, he kicked it with the top of whoever was popping at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got the top of the top to connect with, but the struggle don't stop. The bars don't struggle when the struggle don't stop. As Jay-Z said that. And he meant the bars don't struggle because the struggles are, he was talking about the rap bars, but I believe he was also talking, it was a double entendre. He's talking about the bars, the alcohol. The bars don't struggle when the struggle don't stop. Woo! So I love Jay-Z. He's so good, but because he was talking about his raps, that like the whole rhyme was like, he was talking about how fresh and fly he is. That's what happened. That's what we do with hip hop. But that was a double entendre because liquor sales don't ever struggle. No, when things are at their worst, liquor sales are going to be skyrocketing. And drug addiction. Have lost so many friends during this pandemic. Actually, just in the past 3-4 years to heroin overdose or things of the like. Sad stuff, man. Huffing duster. And I'm not going to be ever so compassionless that I will pretend like I know that I'm out of the woods. It doesn't fucking happen, man. Not in this world. So it would behoove me to listen to the only voice that matters to me, which is my own and God's. I don't say only. I didn't say I will only listen to me. Let me make, grammar matters. I said it would behoove me to listen to the only voice that really matters to me, that really cares for me, that really understands me and is trying to help me live my best experience. Whatever that gets to look like. And here's what it gets to look like. Because I'm going to tell you, it was really the whole reason that I made sure to come on here today. I honored myself. I listened to what I was supposed to do. And my main thought of coming on here was to talk about Michael Jackson and the connection that I've had with him in the spiritual and my father. And just, I wanted to tell you all how I got here at the Holy Shift. And I was going to tell you a different story. I'm going to try to pack it in. I'm going to get some track. Okay, this is my traction. My traction was to come on here and explain to you why the Holy Shift, because I've never really quite went into the depth of it. That was my intention for coming and what I was going to talk about today. I believe I did that more in this conversation than I would have if I would have just followed my bullet points. So that's traction. However, what I'm hoping to do in the next 5 minutes is explain to you all how to keep choosing yourself, how to keep choosing your best case scenario as much as you can figure out how to, because that's all we can do. And that's where the joy comes from in life. And like Buddha said, still don't get too attached to the positive outcomes and to the exhilarating moments, because in the moments in between, the space between space, as Joe Dispenza would say, just be, man. Just, we've got to figure out how to just be in the space between space. It doesn't matter if you're Michael Jackson or Michael K. Williams or Michelle Hollis, you know, you're going to have your moments where you are able to just coast, or we're able to just be in peace, or you're going to be able to meditate. You're going to be able to hone that natural talent, or you're going to be able to work hard enough to develop even stronger talent, and you're going to be able to care enough about people to build relationships, and you're going to be able to be entertaining enough for people to love to be around you and have you around and want to watch you or listen to you or whatnot. And you're going to be able to dream big enough because you understand the power that we have as humans and how to harness it, and you're willing to do the work to do it. And you're going to continue to rise. You're going to continue to see your dreams to reality, because you're never going to stop, and because you're going to continue to do the work. You're going to have times, no matter all the shit you got going on, that you might be doing to spreading yourself so thin because you want to put that energy into showing or sharing or expressing yourself and showing the world how much you care and how much you're willing to do the work and how expressive you're excited to be. But there's always going to be 10 minutes one day, 10 minutes one day that you're going to wonder what it's all for. And that you're going to say, maybe I should just, or you're going to get a phone call. Someone's going to be like, hey, buddy, pal, I haven't talked to you in a while. What do you think? Why don't you come hang out? And it might be that 10 minutes that you don't have shit to do in a fucking lifestyle you've created for yourself, where you have 50 fucking concerts back to back that you have to do. And you've got rehearsals, and you have all the stars aligned and all this, and you've got all this shit going on. Maybe, just maybe, you'll choose out of that and choose to not ever be seen again by the public and just go into hiding and decide to live the rest of your life truly for yourself and your family. That's my hope. I hope Michael Jackson did that. But they've got some convincing arguments online. I'll say that. No, but or okay, that's the dream scenario. Or in that 10 minutes where you care and you are in service of people and all this, but in that 10 minutes, maybe you'll decide to drink some Jesus juice. Maybe you'll decide to go drink some wine. Maybe you'll decide to get fucked up. Maybe you'll be out of your head and make some poor choices that actually will kill you or hurt somebody else, and be the worst representation of yourself, that you can't fucking look your own face in the mirror. Maybe that might happen. I don't know. Maybe you'll treat people that you love like shit, and be so far into your own pity party that you feel entitled to be able to say or do whatever you want and expect everyone to still be there for you at the end of the day. And then because of the cycle of poor choices, you just keep feeling more and more sorry for yourself. Or maybe you'll have 3 years of sobriety, and then all your friends will just get a call one day that you overdosed, died. Then you're like, and you know, so this is the holy shift. I didn't do it. I didn't make it. I wasn't able to give you the timeline in 5 minutes then, but I'm going to do it now real quick, because this is why. Because I want to show you. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that right now. What I'm going to do is take a couple minutes over time, because I was a couple minutes late getting on. But I'm going to take a couple minutes over time and tell you the actual main point. And that is that I had just talked with my friend, and my friend Anthony Russo. He's a buddy of mine that I was in a accelerator with. And I went on his show, and I was a wreck. I did not represent myself well. I didn't think. And I'm just saying it was me, because and then that conversation, because we're on different sides of the perspective on certain things when it comes to politics and things like that. And it's just true. But I went on the show, and it was an eye-opening thing for me. Nothing negative happened. We just had a conversation. But what happened inside of me was realize that, Michelle, you don't stand for shit, bro. Like I didn't come from a place that was honest. And only I knew that. Only I knew that. It had nothing to do with anyone else on the show. And that's life. That's all about life. Nobody else knows you like you do. Nobody else knows what's really on your heart, mind, body, and spirit to do than you do. No one knows what really is bringing you pain than you. And almost 90% of the time, we don't even get to spend enough time with ourselves to get to the issue of what's actually hurting. So how can we expect anyone else to? We can't. So I say that to say that conversation, though, was life-changing for me. It was a catalyst of what I needed. I love Anthony. I love him to death. I know that we don't agree with a lot of things, or the perspective with a lot of things. And I truly believe, and I think this is the truth for most of us, I believe that most people want to get to a place where everyone can love each other. But when you're constantly searching for significance because you don't realize that you being alive is enough, that your life alone is enough. You don't have to fight for something. In fact, we need less of that. We've got to live for something. I love Lauryn Hill's song. You said you died for me. Why don't you live for me? That's the question we get to ask ourselves. Okay, that's the question we get to ask ourselves. When we begin to live for ourselves, we won't have to ride or die for a cause and call anyone else wrong. Okay, so I was on the date. So it was the week of that happening, and I was just thinking of the back and forth and really, really diving deep into the feelings of how horrible of a time it is right now, where people can't even love each other enough to, like, you think we've come so far enough to understand enough of each other's perspective to actually decide we want to resolve some issues instead of being so hardcore bent on pushing a stake further into the ground of, in a universe where we're all constantly moving. We can't hold on to anything. We're trying to hold on to ideologies like it's constant, and it's impossible, because that's not how our universe works. That's going to cause tension and breakdown. That's just the nature of things. Okay, so I mean, anyways, so I'm thinking about this, man. I'm really sad. And it was actually, and I had my challenges had broken me down during those points, and my loneliness and my sadness about my ex-boyfriend and my uncle dying and my father I missed tremendously, just, and haven't really fully grieved. And, there really a full grief about that. But what I'm learning is that the more that I appreciate my family today, living and passed away, the more beauty in life there is, man. And the more grateful I am that they were who they were, and that I was blessed with them. And that just makes the experience different. It makes the experience different for my relationship with my family now. So the more I sink into who I am and really sink into my heart space and do that and spend more time with myself, the more grateful I am for my whole family, and just life in general. But in that particular moment, when I was thinking about the discord in the world and like, God, how can we talk about this and get to a place where we can understand each other and not be so not take the humanity out of life, like, and turn everything into statistics and data instead of human life and blood, sweat and tears, spirit and soul. You can't compartmentalize that. You can't decide that it's all just numbers over here, but then when it comes to your liberties, it matters. But when it comes to this disease is killing people, well, it's only 1% of the population. Like, you can't do that, man. I'm sorry, but you can't. It's never gonna work. What in the Buddhist, Hindu, Christ, God, science is it going to take for us to figure out that we're all the same person, we're all the same entity, and we can't compartmentalize stuff, man. We can't compartmentalize stuff. We're either all get to go or none of us do. That's just how it works, But anyways, so I went into the bathroom that day. I looked in the mirror. I looked in the mirror and I just was feeling like this, I'm always thinking about all this stuff. And for the first time ever, and ever since, I heard a voice and it goes, "Are you ready to end suffering?" And I said, yes, out loud. I said, yes. It was me. I was looking at myself, but it was not me. I've never had that experience before, but it wasn't an audible voice. It was like me talking to myself in my head. It was my voice, but it wasn't me. Because it said, "Are you ready to end suffering?" I said, yes. And it said, "Write the song for 144,000 people to sing," which is a song that I created earlier in 2020. And that was the sequence of events that I was going to talk about. But I think I'm going to hold off on it. I don't want to hold off on it. I can't hold off on it. But I'm not going to hold off on it. I'm going to do that here. If not later today, I'm going to do it in the next couple of days. But I do believe it was important for me to have this conversation first. I do. I believe that was the proper order of things, because Simon Sinek would say, start with why. And the why, putting yourself first matters. The why, making sure that you are the hero in your journey, the heroine's journey, is one that's us conquering ourselves. That is why this journey. That's why addiction, and understanding that addiction is a resolution, is a way to try to resolve pain. Thank you, Dr. Gabor Mate. I like to source things as much as I can. You know, in the realm of hungry ghosts is what he wrote a book called. Brilliant. I haven't even read it, but I've seen a lot of his interviews. I am going to read that. But this is why it matters. It matters because you can't outwork, you can't outsmart, you can't buy off, pay off, make a deal away from your heart's desire, away from healing. You can't ignore your trauma from your childhood. All the roller coasters in the world, and that's not going to resolve it, bro. You can't look outside of yourself to get the love that you get to find within. And that life experience is bigger than hip hop. Love Dead Press for that. I love hip hop. It's bigger than hip hop. I want to be successful, but it's bigger than money. But I also get to learn how to utilize the tools and the resources in this world for good. So you don't just get to drop all responsibility either. Like this is a tightrope. Janelle Monáe said it best. Whether you're high or low, you got to tip on the tightrope. You know, like that's why I love art and music. But anyways, long story short, so I said yes to the voice inside. You want to end suffering? Yes. Okay, because I was just thinking about the suffering in the world, guys. You want to end suffering? Yes. Do the song for the 144,000 people to come together. And I said, okay. I'd written this song a year prior to me having this conversation with myself. Last year, a year and a half at this point, maybe about a year and a half or so. And then I started thinking about, oh God, my Noah's Ark? Is this a Noah's Ark project? Who do I think I am, Bruce Almighty? Like that's the conversation that starts to come up when I start really thinking about the opportunity, what is the offering here that's being presented. I start having those thoughts in my head. And the voice inside goes, I didn't say, are you ready to end the world's suffering? I asked if you are ready to end suffering. And I said, yes. And the voice said, we'll write the song for the 144,000 that you made last year. I hadn't looked at it in over a year. I will tell more of that story soon, very soon, because I'm going to really put I've got to do that song because I'm ready to end my suffering. Okay. I'm ready to end my suffering. Is there something that you have out there? Is God calling upon you to do something that's outrageous? That seems like that's a little big. Like that's a little outrageous, God. Maybe you don't believe in God, but you have some voice telling you to do something humongous. That sounds big. It's bigger than anything you've done before. So it's going to sound big to you. Maybe bigger than anything that anyone's ever done before. So it maybe sound big to you. You know, my voice told me when I started thinking about all that, and then I said, are you ready to end your suffering? The voice said, Michelle, if you do 144,000, if putting together this choir of 144,000 would end your suffering alone, then it's worth it. You are worth 144,000 people getting together and singing a song for God. Because that's what it is, 2 verses out of the Bible. It said you are enough. If you doing that just to make you happy and to end your suffering, if that project will end your suffering, you are enough. Okay, let me tell you why that's so important. That these verses, they're from Revelations, and they're right after the 7 diseases unfold. And then this 144,000 people go to the rock, or on the Rock of Gibraltar, I believe, from what I understood from Marie, and they sing this new song. They sing a song, and it goes, "Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty. Just and true you are." Wait, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Okay, let me start over. "Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, thy King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Lord? Who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify your name? For thou only art holy. All nations shall come and worship before thee, 'cause your judgments are made manifest. Now my voice, I wasn't planning on singing that, but that's the most important thing that I could just share with you, because that's how much it matters to me. Of course, I don't know how it sounded because it was in the Bible. Nobody knows how. I mean, I made the music part of it, and I'm going to work on that, and it actually sounds better. But I'm sharing it with you because that's truly how called I felt to share that. And I am going to tell more about that story. I'm not going to do it right now, but within the next few days, I'm going to have that video up, because I'm going to put that video. I have a video now up on, let me tell you, change.org. If you go to change.org, and just a moment. If you go to change.org, let me see. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. All right. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Did I do it like that? Okay. Change.org. Go, and I'll put it in the comments. But it's change.org / God Song of Unity 2021. And I'm gonna put it in the comments actually. And it's going to keep growing. I've got 24 supporters, but I want to get I will get 144,000 people to sign this petition. And then I'm going to, hopefully most of those will also sing the song with me. So I will have the story for this particular offering that came to me. I would love to tell, I'm going to tell you all the story from when I got a visit from an angel at the Albertsons grocery store, how I know it was an angel, what this was before COVID, what he told me before COVID came, the downloads that I got a couple days after our city's El Paso shut down, and my job at the time was a waitress. A couple days after that shut down, what happened then, and what's transpired all the way to the story I just told you, when Source Energy and God said, "It's if it ends your suffering, it's enough of a reason to do it." And then the voice went on to say, and the voice went on to say, and by the way, who knows, by the way, if doing this, by the way, if doing this is actually going to elevate the vibration of the earth by having the 144,000 pure, loving, heart-filled voices to come and sing the song just for the greater good of the world, and you get 144,000 people on this earth to sing it just for what it could do for the world, that's a powerful energy. And if by chance it can be done, you're enough to get it done too. You're enough to do it. You are enough. And if you do it just to end your suffering, your own personal suffering, you're enough. And I never heard it put that way, and I just broke down in complete utter tears and said, wow. So I'm going to share the petition in the comments, and I'm going to really put together a street team of people, a team of people who want to do this. I think that we should go to the ghettos. I got to figure this out, but God will help me. But this is going to end my suffering, so it's worth it. Just for that. But it's really worth it also because right when I came up with that, I actually came across, because I'm like, has anyone tried to do something like this before? I haven't seen, I looked, I didn't see anything. But what I did see in my search was what I saw in my search, that in a book called DNA of the Spirit, 144,000 people is a very significant for shifting the planet. When 144,000 people gather together with the same intent, a new vibration is created that can change the vibration of the entire planet, of consciousness. Wait, if you could bring in the vibration of 140,000 people's consciousness, you would shift. You would shift. I didn't even read that line in the way that I just read it till now. Do you see what I'm saying? If you could bring in the vibration of 144,000 people's consciousnesses, you would shift. Now, I didn't even read that till just today years old when I read that particular line in that particular way, after I just shared with you what my source energy said. If you do it just to end your suffering. So are we ready to end suffering, or are we too uncomfortable to think about what it would be like to be free? That's the real choice. The tree of life or the tree of the knowledge, good and evil. What are you going to choose? Choice is yours. Peace, blessings, much love. This has been Michelle M. Trade Hollis with Vision Board Music and Vision for the Soul, where we be in harmony and of sound mind, body, spirit, soul, and money. Sound.